Please welcome Ars Antiqua is here to present a concert for you today of music from the medieval period and the Renaissance. We are so pleased to be able to present some ancient music for you. You don't hear much of it anymore. This piece was written by a man whose first name was Orlando di Lasso. He was an Italian who wrote in several different languages and lived in Italy for a lot of the time he was writing. He also did writing in Germany and when he lived in France. He wrote this next wonderful piece about people who kept asking him to sing, and he was tired of singing. I know that feeling. These are the words, tutto lo di, all of the day, you tell me, sing, sing. Don't you see I can't even catch my breath? Why so much singing? I wish that you would say to me, play, play. Oh, don't play that other instrument. Play that tambourine of yours. I think dancing possibly might be what he had in mind. This song is a very light and fun dance, and we're going to feature the recorders. How many of you have played a recorder before? Fantastic. Some of these recorders you may have never seen before because they're very small or incredibly large. The first one is the Gar-Klein Flötlein, which means very, very, very small flute. See how small it is? Artie is the only one who has fingers skinny enough to play it. We move to the next size, the Sopranino, which means tiny soprano. And here is the soprano. You will be familiar with this size because this fits smaller fingers. The mellow sounds of the alto come from this instrument. Now we move into the lower register with the tenor. And then we have the bass. Following the bass recorder is one larger that we have. This is the great bass recorder. Artie, would you play a couple of notes on that, maybe all the way down so they can hear how quiet it is? It takes a lot of breath to play that. There is a size larger than this. You have to stand on a stool to play it. It's about this tall, and it's called a contrabass recorder, but they are very rare. So we now present to our lords and ladies of the hall, Tutto lo di by Orlando di Lasso. Tutto lo di, mi dici canta, canta. Tutto lo di, mi dici canta, canta. Non vedi quando posso rifiatare. Ah, che tanto cantare. Vorria che mi dicessi suona, 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 suona. Non le campano a nonna, non le campano a nonna. Non le campano a nonna, non le campano a nonna. Ma so cimbalo tuo, o sei campo di rororironie, o sei campo di rororironie. Si ottaggio, si ottaggio, si ottaggio sotto storie. Si ottaggio, si ottaggio, si ottaggio sotto storie. That response you gave, huzzah, is always appropriate after fine music and fine fun. Would you join us in some huzzahing to get us warmed up this morning? Applause and huzzahs are always appropriate. Huzzah! Huzzah! And huzzah to you as well.
We'd like to introduce to you the members of the crumhorn family. Crumhorns were a popular instrument during the Renaissance. Crumb, the word crumb in German, actually means curved. And so as you can see, a crumb horn was a curved horn. Crumb horns are capped double reed instruments. A double reed is two pieces of cane, sort of like bamboo, that are joined together at the base. You can see them on the top of the instruments there. The reeds buzz or vibrate together to make the sound. And the reed on these instruments is actually inside the cap. We'd like to feature the crumb horns on El Griot, a song about a cricket written by Josquin des Prez. The piece is in the form of a frottilla, and frottillas were actually the pop music of the Renaissance. We sing the words of this piece in Italian after we perform it, so I'll translate. The cricket is a fine singer with a long-lasting song, but unlike the birds who, after singing a little, fly away, the cricket stays in one place, and when he gets warmed up, he sings only for love. We'd like to have you help us out in playing our modern-day cricket instruments. On this selection, we'll play the crumb horns the first time through, and the second time we'll sing, and that's when Lady Donna will give you your cue for crickets. El Griot.
El Griot è buon cantore, chi tiene lungo verso. Dale, bebe, grillo, canto, dale, dale, bebe, grillo, canto. El Griot è buon cantore. Quando è fatto in altro loco, sempre El Grillo ha pulsato. Quando è fatto in altro loco, sempre El Grillo ha pulsato. Quando la maggiore caldo, allora cantato per amore.
Thank you, Pickens. Thank you. Johann Hermann Schein wrote the next set of dances we're going to play for you. He was born in Germany in the late 1500s and wrote a lot of songs and a lot of dance suites, although they probably were not called suites at that time. We're going to take two movements from his suite number 11 and play for you an allemande and a triple. Now, perhaps you've studied musical meter in your music class, and you know that triple meter means beats grouped in sets of threes. You'll hear some of that in the triple. In the allemande, you'll hear your beats in duple meter, sets of twos, which give it more of a march-like feel. An allemande was always stately and serious and yet light in nature, and the triple uses the same melody but varies it in a triple meter format. So listen and see if you can hear the duple versus the triple meter as we play for you two movements by Johann Hermann Schein, allemande and triple. Moving on into another instrument that you might not have seen before, I'm holding before you the cornetino. It's in the cornet or the cornetto family, and they came in 3 or 4 different sizes. This is the smallest and highest of the family, and it's pitched in D. Each different instrument, you can imagine, was in a different key and pitched differently for different fingering use. The bass instrument of this family you might find interesting, and you can probably tell why it was called the serpent. Okay, a big clue there, it being its snake-like shape. The cornetos were used quite a lot in the 15th century. They really enjoyed great popularity at that time, and they were used in combination with an instrument that's the forerunner of the trombone called the sackbut. That's a lovely name for an instrument, isn't it? The cornets and sackbuts were used mostly in church or in courtly settings, and the cornets and the cornetinos were made of 2 pieces of wood bound together and then wrapped with leather. Occasionally, some of them were even made of elephant tusks, and you probably see kind of a tusk-like shape to this instrument. They were played off to the side of the mouth, and we're going to feature the cornetino in a piece now that's a processional piece originally written for the church by an Italian priest named Giorgio Menierio. He collected lots of pieces, and sometimes they were his own, and sometimes others that he had collected and used. Caro Ortolano.
Next selection, Chansonetta Tedesca, only that it's probably a medieval instrumental piece from the 14th century. It most likely existed originally as a melody line only. Chansonetta means a short chanson or a short song, and Tedesca meant in the German style. So you guessed it, this was a short song in the German style. And we'd like to ask your help in this song. Lady Artie will be giving you some hand percussion cues. Watch carefully, this moves very fast.
Claudio Monteverdi was born about 75 years after Columbus discovered the New World. His name means, we'll see if you can guess, Monteverdi. Mountain, good. Verde. Does anyone know what verdant means? Or verde, do you know? Say. Green. Very good. Green Mountain was his name. Maybe somewhere way back, one of his great-great-grandfathers lived on a green mountain, and that's how they would get their names at those times. Well, he was known as the Shakespeare of Renaissance music because just like Shakespeare wrote lots of plays and beautiful sonnets, Monteverdi wrote lots and lots of music, and he was very good at it. He especially liked church music and was an organist. And one of his favorite instruments might have been the harpsichord, and Stephen's going to tell you a little bit about what the harpsichord does and how it's played, and then we will be playing a piece called O Rosetta, O Little Rose.
I know that many of you play piano or have pianos in your homes. Well, the piano really is very modern compared to the harpsichord. The harpsichord has a keyboard much like a piano. You'll notice on this one that the key colors are reversed. The black notes from the piano are white on this harpsichord. The harpsichord has a very unique sound because instead of the piano having its felt hammer hit the strings inside, the harpsichord has a quill or plastic plectrum which passes by and plucks the string. So once you've hit that note, it's plucked away and had a rather soft sound with a little sharp edge to it. The harpsichord only plays one loudness unless you have different courses of strings. Because if you hit that key harder, that little plectrum just plucks the string the same old way. It just plucks it faster, but it doesn't make it louder. So people who invented harpsichords back in the 1500s when they were really developing into great instruments before the piano, they decided that if they added different courses of strings inside and more of these little plectra for each string, some courses of strings very long, some very short, they could have a whole orchestra of sounds. There are also all kinds of little stops and buttons on the harpsichord which can make you play one course of strings, or two, or maybe even 3 or 4 courses of strings at the same time. So the harpsichord is a very fascinating instrument because of the gentle sounds it can make, and depending on the size of the harpsichord and how many courses of strings, it can be a very grand and glorious instrument as well. And we're going to use it now for a dance tune called O Rosetta. How many of you were born or raised on a farm? Ah, we have one back there. Fantastic. Then you'll be familiar with the sound of chickens as they go buck, 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 buck. That's the piece we're going to do now is Antonio Scandello's version of what chickens might have sounded like if they could sing. This is called Ein Hennlein Weiß, which in German means the little white hen. And he uses imitation in the music to imitate the sounds of the clucking chickens. We're going to be clucking on our crumb horns, first off, and then we're going to sing it for you, and instead of singing it in German, we'll sing it for you in English, so you can get the full effect of kaka 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 nay, kaka nay, kaka kaka nay. the sound that he wrote in his music. This is a very famous piece that many madrigal groups and choral groups learn and sing in high schools and colleges. So someday you may be singing this for yourself. Donna's going to find some companions to help cluck along with us when we sing.
I have some chicken volunteers. Would the three I picked please come up? I think it's Denise, Alicia, and Clay. Very famous chicken players here. Turn around and face the group. Good for you. We're going to practice chicken a little bit.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Wonderful chicken players. When we play first on our crumb horns, we will then sing, and at 3 times during the song, we will have our chicken players chick along with us. So here we go with The Little White Hen.
A little white hen with fluffy feathers searches for some grain. A little white hen with fluffy feathers searches for some grain.
Oh, hear her cackling now,
Cock-a-cock-a-cock-a-nay, cock-a-nay, cock-a-cock-a-nay, cock-a-nay, and then she lays an egg. Cock-a-cock-a-nay, cock-a-nay, 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 cock-a-cock-a-nay, and then she lays an egg. Baker, make a little cake, a little cake. We will celebrate and drink a glass of cool, refreshing wine, and drink a glass of cool and refreshing wine.
Cock-a-cock-a-cock-a-nay,
Cock-a-cock-a-nay, cock-a-nay, 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 and then she lays an egg. Cock-a-cock-a-nay, cock-a-nay, 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 cock-a-cock-a-nay. The hen has laid an egg. The hen has laid an egg.
Huzzah!
Sometimes composers and writers will title a thing just because the name sounds musical and fun. Maybe some of you have read Magdalena Hagdalena. And such a name exists in music as well. It's called Scarazula Marazula. It was written by the same fellow who did the piece that we played earlier, and Artie played the cornetto that looked very much like the tusk she mentioned. He liked to write lots of wonderful music that was very expressive and fun, and this is no exception. Scarazula Marazula is a dance that starts very slowly and quietly, and gradually builds in volume and rhythm and intensity, and faster and faster and faster, until if the dancers were here, they'd be whirling and twirling and falling into a frenzy and exhaustion. We're going to play on all kinds of instruments. You'll see us switching all kinds of instruments around to play this tune. Scarazula Marazula. It's the last piece we'll play for you, and I want you to watch Miss Artie, because at one time during the song, about halfway through, she's going to cue you with your fingers. We want you to clap along very quietly and keep in rhythm. And by the end of the song, you'll be clapping very, very fast, okay? So here we are, Scarazula Marazula.
Thank you very, very much for being a part of our courtly place this morning. We are Ars Antiqua, and we hope that you'll take time and listen to some early music again sometime very soon. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you.